All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Crew Show with a little 49er video as we talk a little bit about the tight end position without George Kittle, because the Niners are going to have to go an extended period of time without Kittle. Our good friend from Niners Nation has 3 suggestions of 3 tight ends that they ought to look at. I'm going to give you 3 more as well. So we'll talk a little bit about the tight end position on the Krug Show. And of course, check out Pig and a Pickle, 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out, so get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. And this 49er football season is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks. And that's for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry, and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. That's right, a C note. Links in the description. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, let's talk a little bit about the latest in Ninerland. And the latest is that the Niners are going to have to be without George Kittle for an extended period of time. He pulled the hamstring. We weren't sure the severity of it. He was immediately out of week 1 against Seattle. And his replacement, Jake Tongas, wound up being the hero in the game. In fact, Luke Farrell had some big plays as a blocker and as a receiver. And then Tongas caught a 4th down play to extend the game, and then caught the game-winning touchdown that could have been headed to Tariq Woolen's arms. And instead, Tongas picks it out of the air. Niners win, and all is right for the day. Now, unfortunately, that's just all right for the day, because now the Niners have to find out how long they're going to be without George. And the initial prognosis was he's going to be out 3 to 5 weeks, maybe as long as 6 weeks with this hamstring injury. So the immediate question for Kyle Shanahan was, are you going to put George on the IR? Which means he's automatically gone for 4 weeks. And Shanahan's like, well, we got to talk about it. We got to think about it. Well, yesterday, after talking about it and after thinking about it, they put George on the list. So he's on the IR for 4 weeks. And that gives them an opportunity to go find another player to help out in the meantime. They do have Braden Willis on their practice squad. Shanahan has expressed a lot of confidence in Willis, but Willis is really an underwhelming blocker and kind of an unproven player at this point in his career. So what do you have? You got Tongas, who's a good receiver, but not much of a blocker. You got Farrell, who's a good blocker, but not very much of a receiver and hasn't been in the offense very long. And then you have Braden Willis, who has been in the offense, but is not much of a blocker and is probably not as good of a receiver as Tongas. So they may look outside for some options. And let's get to what those options potentially could be. So I'm reading Niners Nation. My good friend Kyle Posey, who I've known for a number of years, and I think he does an amazing job. I'm a huge fan of Kyle Posey. If you guys get a chance, go read his stuff on Niners Nation. What I love about Kyle is he's a real football guy. You know, he coaches high school football. He's a great dude. He watches film. He rolls it back and forth. He's not one of these knee-jerk guys looking for clicks. He's thoughtful. He's a football guy through and through. So I always look at his options or his ideas and suggestions, and I never discount them. I always makes me look twice at the guys that he's suggesting. So let's go through the 3 that he's suggesting. First guy that he's suggesting is Ross Dwelley. He says the Niners could bring back Ross Dwelley, who's 30. They released him during training camp. In his career, he's got 45 receptions for 523 yards. So he throws out Ross Dwelley. And I think Dwelley would be a great idea 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But the Dwelley that I saw this summer in training camp is absolutely done. If he's not done, he's hurt because he wasn't moving well at all. And they cut him well before the cut down because it was obvious. I mean, he's lost all the juice in his body. He's no longer the electric mover that he was coming out of the University of San Diego. So I got to say no right out of the chute to that idea. They can't go the Dwelley route. His second idea is Hayden Hurst. Now, Hurst is 32. He's a former first-round pick. his most productive year, Kyle says, was 2020. He's 6'4", 245 pounds. He's had a bunch of injuries throughout his career, including calf strains, ankle sprains, hamstring pulls, concussions. He's played on 4 different teams in the last 4 years. That right there is an indication that he's never really giving the teams what he wants. The Ravens drafted him out of South Carolina in 2018. You know, he's a veteran. He knows what he's doing from that standpoint. You know, none of these schemes are going to seem foreign to him. It's not going to be his first rodeo, you know, that kind of thing. I just think when you get to 32, for most guys, you're kind of done. And I kind of don't think Hurst didn't have great movement ability the last couple of years. And I saw him last year and I thought, this guy's not moving that well. Now, Kyle Posey's third suggestion, I think, is the most interesting of the 3. He's suggesting Nick Van Nett. Van Nett's a big-bodied guy. He played at Ohio State, 6'5", 257 pounds. He's also 32, former third-round pick by the Seahawks. And he's bounced around. He was with Tennessee as recently as last year. He caught 17 passes for 135 yards a year ago. He's on the Vikings practice squad right now. He's got special teams experience. He's covered punts. He's covered kicks. He did it a year ago. He played 361 snaps as an inline tight end. He's 6'6", about 260 pounds now, let's say. So, you know, he's a big-bodied guy. I mean, they listed him at 6'5", 255, 258, 257, something like that coming out. He's now maybe a little bit bigger at 260, but he's never been much of a mover. And to me, he's no different than Luke Farrell, except he doesn't know the system. So I don't love those 3 ideas as much. Now, let me give you 3 ideas that I really do like. I like a lot. Excuse me. And I'm gonna, you know, I went and perused everybody who's a free agent. Like Gerald Everett is a free agent, and he's a really good receiver. And I've liked him for a long time. I think he's really an underrated player. If you could sign a guy like Gerald Everett, you know, off the street, that's not a bad name. To me, he's an interesting name. Then I looked at everybody's practice squads, and there's some interesting names on these practice squads. Lawrence Cager, who's a kind of a linear guy. He's not much of a tight end as far as a blocker. He's very much like a jumbo receiver. That's what he was in college, a receiver. But he does give you some field stretching ability. Like him a little bit. Harrison Bryant, who's pretty athletic, got traded from Philly to Houston this summer. He's pretty athletic. He's kind of intriguing. But the guys I would say Gerald Everett would be the first option if you're looking for a free agent. Robert Tonyan went to Nashville for the tight end U, and he's tight with Kittle. He's played for Green Bay. He's played for Chicago. I think he might be the best combination of blocker, receiver, veteran that's out there. To me, you know, Gerald Everett is a receiver and a dynamic one. Tonyan, I think, can be a sticky-handed receiver, but he's also a try-hard blocker. And I think he would be the guy that I would go for, you know, just because he's got a relationship with Kittle. You know, it's a small room. That tight end room's a small room. Kittle's the guy in that room. So having a guy that he knows and likes and Tonyan would probably be a popular move. And I think Tonyan can really help. He's on Kansas City's practice squad. Kansas City, Brett Veach always puts good players on his practice squad because he plans on, you know, being a contender and needing these guys later in the year. So for him to put Tonyan on his practice squad shows that they really like him. And Kansas City's a good organization. This guy's played for some good organizations in Green Bay, now Kansas City. Tonyan would be the guy that I would go after. He's not old. He's not beat up. He can help you as a receiver. He can help you as a rusher. Now, there's always the young guy route. And there is one young player that, you know, there's really a couple young players that I think are kind of interesting. Carter Runyon with the Raiders, who played at Towson. I think he's an interesting prospect for sure. But the guy that I really like among the young players that got cut is I'm a big fan of Rivaldo Fairweather. Rivaldo Fairweather played at Auburn. They run the ball at Auburn. You know, and so this guy has experience blocking. He's on Dallas's practice squad right now. He's a great athlete. Now, this guy needs a little bit of development, but man, this guy is a high upside athlete with a lot of potential. So there you go. I mean, you know, Kyle Posey says check out Hayden Hurst, Nick Van Etten, Ross Dwelly. I'm saying, yeah, the tight end, the Niners should be in the market for a tight end. I would lean towards Gerald Everett, Robert Tonyan, or if I'm taking a flyer on a rookie that's on somebody else's practice squad that I really liked in college, give me Rivaldo Fairweather from Auburn. Very athletic, a little shorter, very powerful, and I think he's got some upside both as a blocker and as a receiver. And I think he's got some really, really nice potential. Good straight line speed, very athletic body. He's healthy. Rivaldo Fairweather, I mean, if you want to develop somebody, I think he's got more upside potential, believe it or not, than Willis. And I would go for Rivaldo Fairweather. Now, a guy like Fairweather or Tonyan, you're going to have to bypass Willis and put those guys on the active roster and leave Willis on the practice squad. So, you know, that's the question. When you have guys on practice squads, you're going to have to put them on your active roster. But I would do it. Robert Tonyan, Rivaldo Fairweather, those names are absolutely on the top of my list. And, you know, if I had to go with the third, I'd probably go with the free agent Gerald Everett if he's healthy. So there you go. Kittle going down for a month is bad, especially with no Ayuk, especially with no Debo, especially with no Demarcus Robinson for the first 3 weeks. This is a major blow for the Niners, and I think they need a little help. So those are the names. Tell me what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments in the section below. Hit like and subscribe on your way out the door. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krueger Show. Thanks to Sleeper for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krueger Show on YouTube.